Question, how do you make a train float?
Well, you put it on the Isle of Wight ferry, of course.
Today we're travelling with the last 484 to the Isle of Wight.
Greetings everybody, my name's Alex. Hello. There are many questions in life. If an elephant's foot covers an acre, what does its tail cover? Its bottom. Can you get a Foster's in Cockfosters? God knows I've tried. And how do you make a tube train float? Indeed, you pop it on the Isle of Wight ferry. We are charting that journey as it went from London to the Isle of Wight to its new home, and I took some chums with me. My chums from the London Transport Museum to guide our way. Chris Nix from the London Transport Museum. What a lovely day we had.
Good day to you, sir. Yes, well, it took a little while to find our sea legs on that trip, didn't it? And I think I was still rocking about the following day after we got back from that boat trip.
It was quite a journey, actually. And City Holloway, I mean, I think you got a bit giddy on that ferry, didn't you, as well?
Giddy is maybe not the right word. Uncomfortable and slightly seasick might be the right. We went on a very windy day. It was rather stormy, as it has been here in the UK over the last week. So I was feeling a little bit tender that day, but it was very, very cool to see.
Now, Laura Hilton Brown, love you. Show us your fingernails, because this has become a thing for me now. Your fingernails are so beautiful. And I've absolutely convinced myself that you tend to avoid things that may chip those nails, like dirt and bad seas.
Yeah, I totally avoided the entire Isle of Wight ferry trip just because of the fingernails. It was half term, so I was with my my two little bambini. So I didn't make this one, but very excited to see, well, not that City got seasick, that's not so fun. Very excited to see what you guys uncovered, and yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, marvellous stuff. For our Patreons, you'll see the moment that City hurled into the Solent. No, you won't. But what we do have is lots and lots of great footage for our Patreons. But in the meantime, we've got some great stuff for you. And just to recap, this is the 5th and final train from the District Line that is joining the South Western Railway's Island Line fleet. It's called the Class 484. Looks like a District Line train, but it's not a District Line train. And it has to go by road and ferry to get onto the rails. And Chris, it's quite a journey, isn't it, actually?
You're not kidding. I mean, most trains can be delivered by shifting them down the tracks if they're on the mainland, but this one, there's rather a lot of water in the way. So it just adds that extra bit of interest and challenge to the journey.
Now, I have to be very honest about this. We were in a very impish mood that day, particularly you, Siddy, you naughty girl.
Well, yeah. The reason was because I was feeling a bit poorly. I was trying everything I could to cheer myself up, and in doing so, cheering you guys up as well. So I hope you'll forgive me.
We were on the edge all day.
And indeed, some of it was broadcastable at the end of it. It's tremendous.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much. I really don't know how much, but we had a hoot. So the journey begins of this train, where we joined it actually at Portsmouth Ferry Terminal. You might wonder why I have brought you on a train and on a ferry. It's this.
Wow.
Well, it's the last one, isn't it? It's the last one heading over to its new home on the Isle of Wight, having given up service on the District Line.
It's incredible. A train from the 1970s that worked so hard on the District Line has now got a whole new life by the sea, a retirement by the sea.
So this is going to be running on the Island Line. As how many trains do they have now with the addition of this?
This will be the 5th.
Ah.
So it and the second car, which will be coming later, are going to be travelling on the ferry with us.
Right.
And going to its new home.
So I've got all the paperwork, right?
We've got seasickness tablets. It's a bit choppy today.
We're okay. We've got Phil and Paul from South Western Railway looking after us as well. We've got the 12 o'clock ferry for the first carriage and the 2 o'clock ferry for the second carriage. We're going to go on the first, and we're going to chart its journey down to Sounddown, where these wheels join the rails of the Island Line.
That's very exciting.
I think we should go and get ready, because I think we've been told about lurking around docks before, haven't we?
Not the first time.
No, so if the train's rocking.
Typical cross-channel ferries. Have you got the clicker for the D78?
Oh yeah, I've got it magic. Hang on, here we go.
Amazing, amazing.
That's better, isn't it?
Now we watched that beautiful train get on the ferry. It was quite a manoeuvre, wasn't it, Sidney?
Yeah, they really had to like, lift it up and use a lot of the hydraulics or something
Yeah,
in
that's
the
right.
chassis. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the driver of that. I'd be really nervous getting that in properly.
They're pretty cool customers. I mean, we watched a lot of those D78s coming off the system at our depot at Acton. And same thing, those trucks can do amazing kind of ballet of kneeling, turning on a sixpence. They're amazing.
Yeah.
It was fab. And actually now we're on quite a choppy crossing to the Isle of Wight. It's going to be rocking around a bit, isn't it, down there?
I've got a feeling it's one of those days when the hovercraft isn't running, because you can feel it literally jumping under you.
It's amazing.
I think it's about to get choppier even still.
And you're feeling a little green around the gills, aren't you, darling?
I normally don't have any kind of seasickness, but I'm not feeling my 100% right now.
Well,
Well, on the plus side, it's only a fairly short journey, so hopefully by the time you finish your coffee, we'll be safely on the other side and watching it come up.
Let's let Sidney sit down for a couple of minutes and we'll join you back in a minute.
So, is it coming off yet?
No.
Is it coming off yet?
Oh, yeah, it is moving.
Is it coming off
I
yet?
wonder what you were doing there. It's like, are we there yet,
it coming
Dad?
off
Are we
yet?
there yet? No,
It is moving.
Oh, I can see movement.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, get
Very
ready
slow.
to tourist.
Are you doing this as well? I feel like a
Yeah,
kid.
totally. I mean, look at me. I'm
How many cameras does one man need?
I'm treble wielding here.
This is craziness. So we've done this has been quite cool, right? We saw a train on the mainland. It left a big railway depot in Hampshire. It got on a low loader. It's come down to Portsmouth. It's got on a ferry. We've had the choppiest crossing ever. You
Yep.
look like you've got colour in your face again, which is great.
That's good, yeah.
And now that it's just edging its way off, it's quite a moment.
It
actually,
is.
Isn't it?
Oh, you guys.
I get quite giddy
You're
about
Well,
this.
you know,
kind of
Sweet.
if you weren't here for this, then you missed the moment.
Yeah. It's
Well.
like, where were you when the train came off the ferry?
Yes, I'm sure generations to come will be asking themselves
will.
that
Well, it's
question.
okay. We were here for you.
Can I just say, I need one of your hats because my hair is blown around so crazily. It's.
I nearly lost the hat on the boat. It was pretty fierce, wasn't it?
It was.
It was.
It was.
Stepped out, and it was.
Sidney nearly lost her breakfast. So.
And the camera's gone.
Whoa!
It is
Wow.
very windy here
It's
today.
very, very heavy. I know. I've got an idea.
All right,
Stay
they're
there.
doing their hydraulic-y bits. They're
Good
lowering
work.
down.
Look at that. Put
He's
your
in the
rucksack on
industry.
it as a way. The number of times I did that at the BBC, honestly. So this train is just edging.
Well, yeah. What they're doing now is what we saw on the other side. They just have to keep the train certain level. So they're using the hydraulics on the rig to level it out.
Why is that?
You don't want to have it at too great an angle. It's quite a steep
Well, 'cause they
steep
keep
load.
crap.
Well, it's also the fact they've got limited clearance above
Right.
as well, so they've got to keep it at a certain height and preferably at a certain angle.
We saw it
see.
being jacked, didn't
That's
we, to
it,
get
yeah.
on? It was quite bizarre to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite an interesting, it's just, as I say, it just edges slowly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think
It sure does.
it's got a big compressor behind the cab, and that's driving the I think it's pneumatics on.
You've got to
on
be
this.
an edging specialist to do
You
this.
really
You
do.
You do.
I would say
I-
there's a good couple more minutes of edging to come.
I would say so. I think that's going to keep you in suspense for some time. What I would also say is I haven't seen trick suspension on a vehicle like that since I went to a car show.
I love the fact as well, there's a bit of a crowd of people as well. There's a lot of
yeah.
people looking forward to the arrival of their fifth train.
Now, the key thing when you're docking about, I've been learning some nautical terminology here.
Docking about.
What you absolutely must avoid is a hard dock. What you're aiming for is a soft dock.
Do you?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's the golden zone that you want to be in.
Okay.
Soft dock.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've crashed.
Well, the brakes are really off today, aren't they?
They are.
I mean, soft dock, hard dock.
I feel that I'm going to have to speed this footage up.
Yeah.
Do you have a dock pick?
Well, I've got
really
several
nice
dock
dock
picks.
picks.
I've had to use the wide-angle lens.
To capture the whole thing.
Oh, here we go. Right.
There's action.
Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready?
Yep.
I'm just,
Look at that.
I'm just looking at the number plate that he's got in his window. Is that big O?
Big O.
Big C.
Big C. Oh, sorry, the windscreen wipers in the
Or
way.
big G.
Big G.
I love
There
this.
we go.
So here is the moment.
Big G.
It's about to touch. It's
The
about to
train-
touch the Isle of Wight.
It's arrived!
Way!
It's arrived! Look at that! I love the fact that we've literally watched the last of the District Line trains arrive on the Isle of Wight. Look at that.
Here
that.
it is.
That is so cool.
Welcome aboard. 484-005.
And here's the moment it leaves the ferry. Look at that. It has arrived
Wow.
at its new
God,
home.
seeing it like
So
this,
clean.
you see so much of what the
I know.
equipment underneath.
All that
is.
kit.
Yeah, it looks very tidy.
I love that. I love the fact we caught that moment. And there it is.
Excellent.
Have
All
fun.
aboard.
484-005 has arrived on the island.
Well, should we go and see what that looks like when it's going
Yeah.
off the back of that truck?
Off the back of the
Let's
lorry.
When it gets lowered onto the rails.
Well, thank you to White Link. That was a
And to
good
South
crossing.
Western Railway.
That was choppy, but a comfortable crossing.
Yes, it was.
Right then, should we go and catch a train?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
please. Right, something for everybody in that film, wasn't there? How lovely. Couple of thoughts. First of all, Chris, you know when you were doing the description of the ferry and you were doing that like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever twerked?
not deliberately, Alex. No.
I thought that went
Wait,
hand in hand.
you've indeliberately twerked. How does that?
Never knowingly twerked.
Sorry, Ossifer. I indeliberately.
Damn it, I'm doing it again.
I love that. I'm so sorry, Laura. I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry. What we can say is, though, that if ever you try to nick a tube train, there is actually a click, click alarm stopper that Chris found down the back of the seat in the driver's cab. Anybody?
Shall I just roll some tumbleweed across the
Yeah, all good. So, Laura, then what do you make of that?
I mean, if only the crew transporting 484-005 realised that the longer they left you to wait for the carriage to arrive in Isle of Wight, the more mischief that you would get up to and chat about. But yeah, I mean, momentous moment, and I can't wait to see the next stage of this journey.
I can't
blame
wait.
the wind. I mean, look at it.
It was a great.
Wow.
Fabulous.
City.
I have to say, right, I'm not a massive fan of very choppy seas, but I found it hugely amusing being on that boat. On the way back, Chris, because we went on the catamaran on the way back, didn't we? Not on the ferry. And I think you were a little bit perturbed by the rise and fall of the catamaran, but I loved it. I couldn't get enough of the rise and fall.
I just made sure that I was sat straight in the center of the vessel at the front and could see the shore that we're heading to. Avoided seasickness.
Laura, are you seasick normally? Do you get it?
Do you know what? I weirdly, I get travel sick on coaches, but not in any other form of kind of travel. But there was one boat ride when we were in Brazil once, and I was on a catamaran and I felt horrendous. And it's the only time I felt seasick. So when you mentioned that you came back on the catamaran then, I had a little bit of a lurch for you because it didn't kind of fare well with me on that occasion. So, but not normally.
Anybody who's ever learnt how to do cabin crew, the duties of cabin crew, will know that
fair enough.
As you go down the side of the plane, you know where the overhead bins are? On some planes, there's like a lip that is a grabber that runs all the way down the length of the plane. And the idea is if you're in turbulence and your crew that's trying to make sure that everyone's got their seatbelts done up, you put your hands over these two claw grabber things and you just carry on smiling because there's nothing to worry about, is there? And sometimes when the plane really drops and you're coming to go, oh, and you just carry on smiling because everything's just fine. There we go. Look at that. That was the moment that the train came off the boat, which was rather lovely. And as Laura says, we got into a lot of trouble, didn't we, while we stood there?
Yeah, Big G maneuvered it.
Big G, our chums at Read for 8. And it really is quite splendid to see a train on a ferry. It's a bit sort of planes, trains and automobiles, isn't it, really? Just mixing it all up.
Yeah, it seems weird seeing something like that on a boat when you're expecting it to be full of holidaymakers' cars. But yeah, there were 2 of them that day.
Absolutely glorious. Now, the next step of our journey with this train was that we got in a car, and that low loader negotiated the country roads of the Isle of Wight. And we ended up at the backside of Sounddown Village, where the road's so narrow. There is a school, and this thing had to reverse. I've never seen reversing skills like it. Phenomenal journey, wasn't it, Chris, for that train?
It was. I think we're best explained by simply having a look at it.
Unbelievable. Young man, there's no need to feel down.
I knew you were going to say that.
I feel we're missing a few characters, particularly a leather daddy and a Native American.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't a leather daddy like a tool thing?
That's a leather man.
Oh,
Welcome
right,
to
okay.
Sounddown Depot, where we have arrived. So has the train. So we've got the old District Line D78, and behind City we've got the old 1938 train, 483,
008.
484,
005.
He's good, isn't he? And it's arrived. It's reached its sort of final resting place before it gets put on the tracks. What an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah, it was very impressive, wasn't it?
Incredible journey. I mean, they could have created chaos bringing that down the street.
Yeah.
And no,
It's
just
very smooth.
very slow.
I was so impressed. I was so impressed. And actually, even the manoeuvring of the trains in this depot, there's a little, like a tractor
It's called a
thing.
Unimog.
Good.
Unimog.
Unimog.
It's great.
Good.
It's basically
yeah.
a road vehicle that's
Yeah.
also got rail guide wheels on
Yeah,
it, so
tiny,
that it can
tiny
so it
wheels.
can run on both.
Oh, okay.
It's so cool. And so what's going to happen now, this is so interesting, that the old 1938 stock, as we would call it in London, but it's now the Class 483, that's going to be loaded eventually onto another one of these low loaders and taken to Wales to be done whatever's going to happen to it. And this one is going to, this truck is going to get in line with this track here, and the train will just roll off into this siding.
That's right.
Before it goes off to Ride Depot on Friday. I'm just so fascinated by this.
So it's nearly on its new metals. Nearly.
Ding, ding.
Won't be long.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
loving it.
So
What a day, eh?
So how is it going to be put into it? Because this is obviously not, these aren't live rails.
No, but you remember the Unimog that
Yeah.
we saw on the front
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that?
yeah.
That can be used to tow or push it onto
But so
the
it'll
line.
push it onto there until where, and where does it
Until its
electrify it?
shoes can get onto the
Onto
electric lines and pick up
And
current.
so to the side of us is the Isle of Wight's island line, and that's electrified, but this is just shunting.
That's
sidings,
right, this is
isn't
a
it, really?
yard basically,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have the electrical rails down here.
Now in 2 hours' time, another one of these is going to arrive to form the 2-carriage train, the Class 484 005. So we need to get out of the way because this is going to be put on the tracks and then stuff's going to be moved around and we need to go and get some dinner.
That's it.
Some skilled professionals need to come and do their work, so the non-skilled professionals will get out of the way.
We need to be skilled eaters, don't we? Anyway, what a day! What a day!
And come on.
The thing is, Sid, I don't think we're going to move this very fast. Did you take the handbrake off?
World's Strongest Man contest. It's just not
like
happening,
Christmas Day, isn't it, on telly? Here it is, guys. Say bye-bye to it, because this is the last of the London Underground 1938 stock, the 483 class, as it's known to British Rail.
008.
Yeah.
Number 8, look at it. And
Nearly
it's
Mr. Bond.
time for it to go to its new home for refurbishment. And it's kind of emotional in a funny sort of way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
So this is the last one. So all of the other ones have already been
they've
ferried
been
off.
disposed of, dealt
Of
with.
course, 007 is in the museum here,
Yeah.
but this is the last one still on the island line.
Right.
But not for much longer. The ride has arrived. There's a couple of other things which we should do while we're here. You know, we've talked about the amount of works that were done on the line to improve it while it was closed.
Yep.
Well, look, we've got some clues here. If we just pick up some of the ballast down here, that is your kind of beach shingle stuff.
Yeah.
You see it's rounded, so it slips together really easily.
And that was the stuff that used to encourage bounce on the tracks,
so that
wasn't it?
was what made it kind of,
Yeah.
Whereas that looks like Swedish granite to me, which is your standard kind of jagged ballast, and that is
Links
really good at
together.
locking together. And you can see it in the track bed. That's just compacted down just with the Unimog wheels rolling over it. So it's locked tight, and that stops the track from shifting around, is really good. So that is the difference, and that's all of that great work. Enormous.
So that's bouncy.
Bouncy.
And this is
Not bouncy,
smooth
bouncy.
ride.
Smooth.
How much of that do you reckon you can get in your rucksacks? Because I could do a really nice rockery with that. I'm just
It's
thinking.
ironic, isn't it? The smooth pebbles make for a bumpy ride, and the sharp ones make for a good ride.
Well,
Well,
you know,
there we
we're
are.
full of
We love it rough.
controversy.
Yeah,
We
there's
love
an
it rough.
enormous mound of it still around the other side of this train
Indeed, good.
from
Do you
when
need
they
some for your
did all
garden?
that. There we go.
There was one point in the day where it was on the way home, and I said to Chris, "I'll just hold your bags for you for a minute." And I tried to lift one of his bags, and it weighed an absolute ton. Chris, what was in your bag? Why is it so heavy?
Well, you know, it's my habit whenever I visit places to bring you some rock. And Laura, you know, I always bring you some rock back. On this occasion, not quite. As
The
you
edible
might
kind.
expect.
He brought back rockery.
So I did pick up some pebbles to illustrate that point, to the point where the guy operating the Unimog said, "You're building your own railway." So this is some of the beach shingle. You can see it's very rounded and very slippery, and that's what used to make up the track bed of the Isle of Wight railway. And now they have this stuff, which is nice and jagged, much more sparkly pink granite, and that locks together much better.
And
that's
stops
where you
bouncy.
That's
Laura,
right.
one of the things that we always say, and you always say actually very generously, is that you learn so much from these Hidden London Hangouts. I mean, now we're on to Ballast. Has this gone too far, or are you still loving it?
No, it hasn't gone too far. And well done you guys for going, because during that clip, I was watching the tall fir trees to the left-hand side sway rather vigorously in the breeze, which was probably slightly more than moderate by this point. My favourite bit was Siddy, the overseer, in her beanie hat and the bump cap. I mean, just looking too cool for school. And that Chris was desperately trying to teach you about the ballast and the rocks. And Alex, you were already talking about stealing it and taking it home. What a joy I missed with you guys on this day.
The weather was unbelievable. At one point, it did blow off my helmet.
Laura, speaking of learning things, one thing I learned during that day is no matter what it says on a sign, there are times when you have to accept that the sign isn't right.
Brilliant. I love that picture so much. You can't argue with the joy of that picture. Absolutely something. And you wouldn't believe, Law, how narrow that village is. That little road is so tiny, and they routinely move trains down it.
To be fair, I did think whilst they were manoeuvring these carriages on these loaders, what expert drivers they are, because it just took me back to the Routemaster episode, and I didn't even want to reverse the bus round a corner. So how these guys negotiate and navigate, across to another island, I don't know. But the planning and the logistics, I know, Alex, you kind of worked fiercely to pull this all together with a lot of people that were helping us out to enable this episode. But just to get the trains from Hampshire over there, I mean, what a huge project and lots of planning. So just well done to everyone, and especially the drivers, because I couldn't do that for sure.
And they're so lovely. The people who actually work for Reed Freight, the company that actually moves all this stuff around, they're so lovely. And they must watch the episodes as well, because we were stood at the side and they're waving us going, "Oh, it's so nice to see you here." And it's like, thanks, that's really kind. So whoever they are, and I didn't catch your name, I'm so sorry, but we're so glad. And your smile just cheered up a very, very grey and windy day, didn't it?
It sure did. I mean, you know what? I wasn't feeling brilliant that day, but you guys did make me feel a lot chirpier by just being yourselves and being lovely. And you know what? I showed this to a few of my male friends, and they were all just like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Like, they thought it was just the most incredible thing ever. So I do think there's a bit of sort of childish joy about seeing a train being loaded.
We know how to cheer people up by talking about Ballast and Unimogs.
Love it. It's possibly the butchest I've ever been, actually, that day, standing there with a helmet in the yard, just doing my thing. I have to show you this, by the way, Chris. This is, if you can just cut back to the full screen, because when it went to the wreckers yard, one of the trains went to the wreckers yard, I was actually given that. That is the control door panel off, hang on, that way up.
The Australian one, yeah.
Yeah, that's off the 1938 stock when it went to the Isle of Wight. That is the actual open door thing. How cool is that, eh?
What are you going to do with that, Grundy?
I thought I might put it on my door as a doorbell.
Can you put it on your front door so when we next come round, it can be like a doorbell?
Do you know what I need to do? I need to get one of those special dong 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 alarms that everyone seems to be advertising these days. That'd be quite cool. So I've got that. Also, Chris, I noticed in my bag after that night when we came back on the train, I noticed 4 mini Baby Bells, 2 packets of Quavers, and quite a lot of these. So we must have bought quite a lot of stock and not used it on that journey home.
That's the oddest thing, isn't it? I found a similar cache in my bag when I got home.
It's good. I have to say,
Baby Bells and Ferrero Rocher. I feel like you've got to 2 ends of the spectrum with your snacking there.
It was what we like to call a picnics, because it was a beautiful arrangement of wine, cheese. We had small.
What's the Baby Bell your cheese?
Yes,
it was a smorgasbord.
It was a smorgasbord, if only I could spell it. It was great. Now this is your Omnimog or whatever it's called, isn't it? My Unimog.
Unimog, yeah. So this is both a road and a rail vehicle, depending on how it feels. And this is what they were using to manoeuvre the rail vehicles around when they didn't have electrical power to manoeuvre themselves.
Now, 2 points on this, by the way. Number one, for Patreons, if you subscribe to our Patreon service, you will see one of these Unimogs in operation, which is very exciting to see. And the other thing, regular viewers to the Hidden London Hangouts will know that Siddy has driven most things. And I checked on the back of her UK driving license, and it is actually, she's licensed to drive a Unimog until 2072. Isn't that right, Sids?
Oh, is it that? No, I think it's 20. I actually think it's 2060.
I'm so sorry, I got that wrong. So how cool is that? But that is a little trainy thing. It's a trucky thing and a trainy thing all together, isn't it? And that thing can pull a 9-carriage train.
Yeah.
Very slowly, but yes. So it's got compressors on the back so that it can take the brakes off the train as well, and all of that. But sadly, this was the point where we lost Siddy, and she had to head back to the mainland, and we gave her a little wave off as she caught the next train somewhere on there. Siddy's waving at us, and that left just me and Alex to finish off the next bit.
We look so happy, don't we?
Boys on tour.
By this stage, it was so cold and so gloomy. I mean, I have to say, I don't quite know what filter you've put through that picture, Chris, but it's so much brighter than it really was. Or perhaps my brain was just feeling it was so bleak.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Well, we had to stand around for quite a while then, while the truck was manoeuvred and the track ramp was laid in place.
Just seconds before the string snapped.
Were you doing boy band poses?
Well, I don't know whether that's boy band. I look like a sort of, I don't know, I look like something out of the Village People, actually, but...
That'll be our first album cover.
It's going to sell well, guys.
Yeah. Oh dear, our latest tour album, but beautiful stuff. So then back at the ranch, we said bye-bye to City as she toddled off on the train.
Yeah, I had to go. I was not feeling very well, so I just figured it would be best to head back and rest, which actually was a great idea because I wasn't feeling well for quite a few days after that. So, but I did keep sending you guys updates, and I was getting updates from what you were doing after I left. And it was nice to actually ride on the Island Line. I must say, it felt kind of exciting because I hadn't been on those trains before.
Did you find there was much bounce?
There wasn't much bounce, no.
No,
it
good.
wasn't much bounce.
Not compared with the boat, anyway.
No.
So, anyway, here is the final part of our little day of montaging.
What could possibly go wrong with this shot?
Do you know, I have to say that was quite a moment. I've never seen a train come off a loader onto tracks before. Incredibly exciting.
I had everything crossed because I had my mobile phone right next to the wheel.
It was incredible. And this train, as I say, we've watched it go from land to water, back to land, and now it's on rail.
And now it is on the hallowed metals of the Isle of Wight in its new home.
I feel really quite chuffed. We've seen the whole story of this now for this line. And I'm so looking forward to actually, in years to come, going on these trains and thinking I witnessed the moment when they arrived.
Well, I last travelled home on you on the Richmond branch before you left London, and now welcome to your new island line.
From 1938 to 1978, when these came into service, to now 2022, it's all done, isn't it?
It is. And with that, to the pub.
Oh man, what a day. That was so cool. And so the people who do all this kind of stuff, they're so talented, so clever. Laura, that moment when those trains hit the tracks, even though, you know, I know that sometimes some of the stuff we do is a little bit gauche for you, did you get a little tinge of excitement there?
Well, yes, maybe not quite that far, but what I liked in that shot when the wheel hit the track was that you could see the ballast that Chris was talking about before. So the geographer part of my brain was actually quite enjoying that section. And I think I did quip about the people that lived behind the track and if it was very noisy for them. But you've just said that actually they were super excited about that process and were out filming themselves. So what a joy.
The houses that you can see there, they're actually known in estate agents' terms as spotters' cottages, because they're there purposely for people who love trains and depots, which is really rather nice. And Chris, it was a good old day though, wasn't it? I mean, I have to say, I've never seen civil engineering like it, and I really enjoyed it.
I think, Alex, you may have just suggested another piece of content for a Hidden London mug or a T-shirt there with Spotter's Cottage. I think that's great.
You think it'll be put on a mug?
It was a cold but a really interesting day to spend watching these trains arrive in their home.
It was really good. And Sids, one of the things that I commented to you at one point about these trains, because the end that you're looking at now, where it says Island Line, that on that island will always face Shanklin. There's no way of turning that train round. Oh, wow. And I said that to you, didn't I? And you went, oh, really? And of course, no one would necessarily think about it, but the train goes backwards and forwards. It will always face Shanklin.
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually, because it's something you don't think about until it's pointed out to you that, you know, unless at some point, I don't know, they crane them and turn them around or something. But why would they do that? Just for fun. Just for no reason whatsoever, but just to, you know, when you're a bit too hot at night and so you sort of flip your duvet over to get the cooler side, maybe they'll do that.
This might be something that's more your thing than mine when you're too hot. I don't think anyone's ever described me as too hot. So not hot enough, tepid I've been described as, but never too hot. What a lovely old day. So although it was very grey and exceptionally windy and wet, it was a fab day. And then we have got some thank yous. I've tried to think of the ones I need to say thank you to. I'm bound to forget somebody. First of all, Phil from South Western Railway, thanks for the laughs as well. You do make us giggle. And to James in the press office for allowing us to travel for free. So grateful for that. Our friends at White Link for giving us the transfer, so it didn't cost the museum any money to do this. Phil and Mark from Viva Rail, so kind of you. And you got your masks, your South Western Railway masks off Paul, do you remember? So cool. And also got to say hello to Butch in the Iron Line Depot in Ryde. When we were there last time, Chris is laughing. When we were there last time, his name is Ian Butchers, and he's the loveliest man in the world, actually. And I happened to quip that his nickname was Butch for us, for obvious reasons, if you know me. And unfortunately, he's been getting quite a lot of stick from his colleagues in the depot. So boys, stop taking the mick out of Butch, all right? Stop it. It's not funny anymore. It's funny. To everyone at Ride Depot and the lovely boys at Reed Freight, thank you so much for everything else. Now, interestingly, Chris, we then decided, as we start notes, queries and questions, as we do every episode, we had a very, very lovely collision of two moments. First of all, we wanted to take Mark, who's organised so much of this for us silently, for dinner. And we went to, obviously, the Spyglass Inventor for fish pie, because that's what we do. But also, we took along another fan of the Hidden London Hangouts, his wife, Janet, didn't he?
We did. Great. An extra fan surprise there. So let's have a look at dinner.
Chris, we're back in the Spyglass Inventor. And you know what we're going to eat, don't you?
I can only be fish pie.
Exactly. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to these two, because you'll know him. This is Mark. Mark has been absolutely instrumental in all of our Isle of Wight episodes, because what maybe you don't know, is that Mark was in charge of getting the 1938 stock over here, and he's been instrumental in getting the D78 stock over here, and it's been wonderful. Everything we've asked for.
And he's been instrumental in getting us over here and filming us today. So yeah,
totally. And he's very, very lovely. And this is Janet, his wife. And the two of them, as a couple, watch us on television, which is rather lovely, isn't it?
It's tremendously full circle.
It's great.
Well, I have to say, I do love the new trains. I think they're a splendid addition to the island. There is one thing though, which I'd be grateful if we could do. I want to say thank you for your hospitality, and so that we can have some of the original maquette travelling on, will you do me a favour and wear those when you're on the train? That way we've got the correct D-stock.
We'll have to take a photo.
That's marvellous. You could wear a sock each if you wanted to. Use them as a hand puppet, sew a couple of buttons on them. It'd be marvellous. And what a lovely day as always. I've got a gift for you actually.
Have you?
Because we're coming over here, South Western Railway was so lovely to us, sorted out our tickets. White Link were amazing. They got us here on the ferry and taken us back on the catamaran. As long as the weather's all right, it's quite a boiling sea out there. But I was quite cheeky, as I always am, and I got you a face mask. South Western Railway face mask.
Fantastic.
How cool is that?
It feels like very good quality.
Never mind the length, feel the
Very
width.
good, yes.
It's going to be marvellous. So yeah, another fabulous day on the Isle of Wight, eh?
Well, I'll raise a glass to that.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
It's the Isle of
Cheers.
Wight.
Cheers. Oh, it's so cute, isn't it? I love the idea that couples actually watch us on a Saturday night together. It's like, you know, in the old days, it was, card games, board games, couples playing bridge, getting 2-3 rubbers in a night, that kind of thing. I love the idea that these days we can do this. Don't you think, Chris? It's rather nice that people sit down as a couple and watch these episodes.
I think it's very sweet. Yes, it's nice to know that we have a lively audience out there.
Oh, it's so sweet. Girls, what do we think then? Did we enjoy today? Sydney, what do you think, Siddles?
I think it was great. I think, this is the final addition into our long series of Isle of Wight episodes. We started with the 38 stock. What was it? Back in season 2.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure we can string out a few more.
I've already
Quite the finale yet.
Not condemn the Isle of Wight just yet.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was. I was very happy to be there with you guys for the unloading of the train.
So good. And Laura, I mean, our love affair with the Isle of Wight continues, isn't it? Really, because you still take the kids there on your holidays and stuff. It's a beautiful little island, really.
Yeah, I love the island, and I will continue to take the family there for as long as I can, and travel there after the kids have flown the nest. I'd still love to go there. And I think Siddy's right. The first episode that we did of Isle of Wight, way back in season 2, we didn't know how it was going to go, and I remember we were a little bit nervous about, was it hidden enough? Was it still within the kind of repertoire of what we were, I guess, becoming known for doing? And it absolutely, smashed it out of the park. You guys went on that one as well. And it, it's a really, really, it's a favourite episode from a lot of people. So I think a fantastic love affair with Isle of Wight, and long may it continue.
Oh, well, it's funny you should say that, because looking through our notes, queries and questions, there is a comment underneath the bank episode, which is, again, our numbers for these, by the way. We can't believe it. It's so delightful. Apparently had a comment this morning, by the way, from the press team at the museum, who said that we've smashed through the 100,000 subscribers to YouTube, and they thank us specifically for all the work we've done. for
Hurrah.
subscribing. So
Well,
isn't that
thank you
amazing?
to all
I
of you
didn't know
who
that.
subscribed.
So that's marvelous. James the Plonker said, I think it would be really cool to get films of the British transport engineering teams and what equipment they use to keep the system going. He says BTS. Is that an abbreviation that I don't know?
Isn't that the Korean boy band or something?
That's right. Yeah, well done. Yeah, but we'll
That's
get them on
definitely
as well. I could do with a bit of that in the background. Be great. Interesting as well, he said you've also got to do an episode with AJ Wells. The people who make the signs for the underground, all the roundels and everything else. Guess where they're based, everybody? Anybody?
Oh, please be somewhere exotic so we can
We've
do a
featured it before.
Isle of Wight.
They're on the Isle of Wight.
Oh!
Let's go back to the Isle of Wight to AJ Wells, the sign makers. That'd be good. And also McKenna Brothers. Now, I believe McKenna Brothers are the company that make the bus blinds.
That's
and
right.
the dot matrix boards for the front of buses, so we could learn how bus blinds are made. That'd be good. I think they're in Manchester, aren't they? Oh, and the other thing, by the way, I've been talking to Chimera, the maquette people, and we're invited up to their factory to see what they do up there. We've got loads of little trips to do. Railway companies, I'll be knocking on your door for free tickets very soon.
Laura, are we working on some trips to the Bahamas?
I know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we totally should. Not to say that any of the above or aforementioned trips, totally want to go on all of those. But I was hoping for a little bit of sun, especially after such a bleak, windy weekend. What's in Barbados?
I gather there's a very, very posh, all-inclusive hotel in Barbados. It's actually got an old Piccadilly line train as a massage parlour. And I think that'd be really good that we go and see that. No, that's not a thing. Is it, Alex? You just made that up. But there's some loads of things we could do. Jennifer says, I missed the live premiere yesterday for the first time in my year. My Saturday felt wonky and dry as a result. I was on during the original Patreon filming, but the episode is twice as nice on second viewing. So many thanks for all the behind the scenes details and drawings of photographs. We love Bank. We love Bank, don't we, Chris?
We do. We've been described as wonky before. I think one thing you can never describe the four of us as is dry.
Not after an episode of this. Jared says, I love getting on the travelators and seeing how fast I can walk. We talked about this in the Bank episode because there's something
good. Keep walking on the travelators.
Ministry of Silly Walks. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Can you walk faster than you would normally walk on a travelator? What is there a point at which walking becomes running? Is there a what is that tip
yeah,
point?
it's when both feet are off the ground. That's when it's seriously. That's when you're running. Is when you've actually you're airborne.
Can I check that logic with you, Laura? Would you agree? Would you concur?
I concur because I used to find it very confusing when there was the Olympic walking race, why it was walking and not running, and so I believe Chris is correct, and that is correct.
I'm so glad we've got it's a bit like Dictionary Corner, isn't it? It's all popping over.
We may have just hit the dry section, just saying.
I've become Susie Dent.
I thought that was rhyming slang. Chaos says, it's incredible how quickly work has begun since the closure. We love it too. And Gore Freight says, just found you after seeing your TV series. You guys are great. Hello from New Zealand. Sid,
hi, New Zealand.
You're doing the PR work again. Well done, Sid. Any more news on when series 2's out? Have we got an update?
No, so we are finishing filming this week, and then we have to go into all of the bits behind the scenes which aren't in front of the camera. So we have to do the voiceovers, and we have to do the fact checking. The museum checkers and Chris and TFL have all have to look through them and see what we need to, how it's all coming along and all that sort of stuff. And then finally it will be put out to everyone to see. So probably, it will be later this year, probably sometime in the summer, although I don't know.
I cannot wait. Laura Hilton Brown, thank you very much indeed for watching me lower myself onto the tracks.
Thank you for taking that blustery, wet, windy and wild I was just about to say steam ride. I've completely lost my train of thought. Ferry ride, not a steam ride. Ferry ride over to one of my favourite islands. Sorry I couldn't be there. Timing just didn't quite work out again. Although it may look like I'm strategically missing all the ones that are slightly more effort than normal, but it's not that way, I promise. No, thank you for going. It was actually a lovely kind of sequel to how the Isle of Wight episodes are going. So thank you for going. That was really cool.
You are gorgeous. I was indeed steaming by the time I got back to London.
Maybe that's why it was Freudian slip. That's why.
Oh dear, oh dear. I mean, this is Chris. It's a Chris Nix picnic. That's the thing. It's always the way. Siddy Holloway, thank you so much for coming as well, and I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for being so lovely when I was feeling poorly, boys. You were just like, go back, and I was like, I don't want to disappoint, but I'm also feeling awful. So it was the right choice because I was feeling pretty much dreadful until Sunday morning, to be honest. So thank you both. I'm very sorry I missed the Chris Nix picnic though. Chris Nix Nix's picks. I'm very sorry I missed that, so we're going to have to redo that at some point, guys, the four of us, please.
Well, it's all right because I did bring a couple of orbs from the picnic.
You were spoiling us, Ambassador.
That's marvellous. Ambassador Nix, you really were spoiling us that day. I'm glad I managed to find the mini baby bells in my bag though before today, because it was quite almost a week ago when I brought those back.
Did you find the half salmon?
Yeah, and the dead rat.
Oh.
As good work. Thank you so much, as always, Mr. Nix, for expertise, super filming and editing, and your camaraderie on that exceptionally long journey home late at night.
Well, bless you. It was worth being tossed around for half an hour each way just to capture that moment and see the last train safely into its new home.
Like I say, something for everybody in the scripting of this. So thanks ever so much. Like, subscribe and comment down below on YouTube because we love to hear what you have to say about the episodes. And we love the fact that you're with us on this journey. The numbers are going up each week and we are delighted by that. So thank you. On Instagram, find us, Chris Nix, Siddy Holloway, Alex Grunden, Hidden London Law and at LT Museum. Find us, subscribe and follow, and we will put a few little clues as to where we go next. We are somewhere fabulous next week. In the meantime, have yourself a great day and stay safe.